What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. Hope you're all doing very well. We're going to talk about Holy Paladin today, and we're going to talk about the tier set bonus coming in 10.1. It's actually crazy how much is going on with this set. There are so many implications of the tier set bonus that I didn't realize at first, and then after looking at it for a while now, I've been like, oh my god, there's just so many things. So this is one of the more interesting tier set bonuses that I've come across, in that it actually interacts with your talent tree in an interesting way. It's not just passive. So let's dive right into what the tier set bonus does, and then I'm going to talk all about it. Here's the two-piece. Holy Shock critical strikes heal for 15% more. Okay. And those Holy Shock criticals reduce the cooldown of Light's Hammer by 2 seconds or Holy Prism by 1 second. So if you don't crit, you don't get the cooldown reduction. Okay, you with me so far? Light's Hammer heals for 100% more. Sorry, heals 100% more frequently, and generates 1 holy power every 2 seconds. Holy Prism's healing is increased by 80%, and it generates 1 holy power if cast on an enemy, and 3 holy power if cast on an ally. Okay, this is really convoluted and crazy, but the basics of the 4 set is that both of the abilities heal for almost double, but they don't do double damage, just healing. And then for Light's Hammer, you just get holy power generated over time. For Holy Prism, you get a bunch of holy power on demand if you want it. Either 1 or 3. Now remember, the cooldown on Light's Hammer is 1 minute. The cooldown on Holy Prism is 20 seconds. So you can cast Holy Prism a lot more. You can cast it 3 times in the same amount of time it'll take to cast Light's Hammer again. However, you of course are getting cooldown reduction every time Holy Shock crits. And yes, this does also work with Divine Toll. If you Divine Toll, and any of those Holy Shocks crit, then you're going to get a bunch of cooldown reduction. Okay? Very important to understand that. Now, very quickly, I want to talk about crit and how important this kind of is. Because I do think there's massive implications here on the talent tree. Number one, you're definitely going to want to take Divine Glimpse to give Holy Shock 15% more crit. I looked at this, and I've added up all the critical strike that you get. My baseline crit is 23%. Holy Shock's baseline chance to crit is 30 additional percent. So now we have 53% chance for Holy Shock to crit already. Add in 15% more, and you're at 68% chance to crit. If you take regular wings, you get 20% more. That's 83% chance, 88% chance. 88% more chance to, that's what your critical strike chance is going to be for Holy Shock. That's pretty insane. Every time Holy Shock crits, you're getting cooldown reduction. So, you're kind of incentivized, in my mind, to stray away from Avenging Crusader and towards Avenging Wrath Might, which I think people were doing anyway, but just an interesting thought there that you're going to be missing out on 20% crit if you don't take Avenging Wrath Might. And therefore, your Holy Shocks will be critting less. Therefore, you'll be getting less cooldown reduction on this ability, that whatever you've chosen up here. Now, that might not matter as much. Like the 20% part especially might not matter. I think you definitely need to take Divine Glimpse for sure. But you might not need to take this. Having 68% crit on Holy Shock is probably similar to having 88% crit. Like, it's not that much of a difference, right? It's not like we're going from 0% to 20%. That's a big deal. Going from 68 to 88, not that big of a deal. You see what I'm saying? Also, one thing I was really noticing is that if I was trying to just spam my abilities to try and get the cooldown reduction going on this thing, I ran out of mana really quickly. So you're not really going to be doing that anyway. Let me just show you an example of how fast you can get the cooldown reduction going. I'm also running 2 points into Crusader's Might. So I'm getting massive cooldown reduction on Holy Shock all the time. During Wings, we get Sanctify Wrath, which reduces the cooldown of Holy Shock by 40%, even more. So you're going to have massive CDR on Holy Shock, and therefore you're going to be able to Holy Shock more, and you're going to be critting more, and therefore you're going to be reducing the cooldown on your ability. So let me just show you Light's Hammer really quickly here, okay? We're going to go Wings. Yeah, we're going to throw Light's Hammer down. Now I'm going to do Holy Shock, 1 Crusader Strike, Holy Shock, 1 Crusader Strike, Holy Shock. That's the amazing amount of CDR that you get. I can Holy Shock again, and you can see, watch the cooldown reduction on Light's Hammer. It goes down a little bit. Watch my Divine Toll. I'm going to Divine Toll, Boom, I got 9 seconds off of Light's Hammer right there. That was insane. So you can see, as you kind of play this out, I'm getting lots of shocks. I'm not spending my holy power. I know, guys, don't worry. I see what I'm doing there is incorrect. But the point is just to showcase that this works, right? And boom, we're getting our holy shock, or our Light's Hammers all the way back off cooldown. We're going to throw it down again, and then we'll try to get it down again with our regular holy shocks. Try to get it back as quickly as we can. You can just see the cooldown reduction is pretty amazing, but I've used way too much mana. So I'm not really sure. This isn't what you're going to be doing. But you can just see how quickly the actual ability comes back. And when you look at the current fight here, the amount of healing that it does, Arcing Light is the heal that it does. Massive amounts of healing and massive amounts of damage coming out of this as well. We'll go to the current fight here. Light's Hammer, 9%. Before I did another test, it was 10% of my damage. So the Light's Hammer version gives you consistent holy power generation. It probably does more damage and more healing than Holy Prism does. However, so you might be asking, well, Zuko, why would you ever pick Holy Prism? Well, because Holy Prism gives you on-demand holy power. On demand. This is really important to understand. There's nothing else in the Holy Paladin kit that gives you on-demand multiple holy power generation. Nothing does except for Divine Toll. Divine Toll gives you 5 because you holy shock 5 times, you get 5 holy power. There's literally nothing else in the kit that gives you more than 1 holy power at a time. Nothing does. So this is kind of interesting that Holy Prism, if you cast it on yourself or on an ally, if you start on an ally and then it radiates and does damage, so I'm going to press it right now, it gives you 3 holy power, as you can see right here. And then you can immediately use a spender, which is very interesting. That's a lot of, like, extra advantage that Light's Hammer doesn't give you. Light's Hammer, of course, generates 1 holy power every, I think, 4 seconds or so. So it ends up giving you 3 holy power over the duration of the ability. But being able to just run around and be like, oh, I need to heal. I'm going to heal myself, and then I'm going to wog somebody else immediately. That immediate on-demand response is really important to understand, because it's so important for healers to have that kind of on-demand healing. And that is the absolute biggest upside to Holy Prism versus Light's Hammer, is that on-demand 3 holy power. That's really important. So it doesn't generate 3 holy power if you cast it on an enemy. If you start your cast on an enemy, so it hits an enemy and then it radiates to allies, that only gives you 1 holy power. If you start on an ally and radiate damage to enemies, that gives you 3 holy power. Now, that would be the biggest reason to take Holy Prism over Light's Hammer. I think Light's Hammer outperforms Holy Prism in terms of damage and healing and mana saving. You got to remember, this is a 20-second cooldown on Holy Prism, but it costs you 6,500 mana. Light's Hammer is 9,000 mana, but you're not casting it as often. So if you're going to be casting this sucker a lot, it's going to use a lot of mana. And that is definitely a problem. I found myself running out of mana quite a bit. There's no way to get mana back as a Holy Paladin unless you take this, Divine Revelations. But you're not going to be casting Holy Light. It only refunds 1% of your mana, by the way. But you're not going to be casting Holy Light anyway with this build. This is like a melee build. You're not getting mana back. The only way to get mana back is from Blessing of Winter, which you're going to be hoping to cycle into. But my point here is that you're going to need to be really careful if you do want to take Holy Prism. It has the on-demand holy power generation, which is definitely better than Light's Hammer. You could combine this with something like Avenging Crusader, and then you could just go, Holy Shock, and then I'm going to press 1 Crusader Strike, and then I can go, or I could do Bestow Faith, but Holy Shock, Holy Prism, and then boom, I have 5 holy power. I'm into Wings. I'm into my Avenging Crusader right away, if you wanted to run that build. So it's got a little bit of synergy there. It's like a little bit better. But I think realistically, you're probably going to want the crit from Avenging Wrath Might so that you can get the cooldown reduction on Holy Prism or on Light's Hammer. So you can see I'll cast Holy Prism here. Boom. Holy Shock reduces the cooldown there. Divine Toll, watch the cooldown here. It went down a little bit more, right? And then another Holy Shock, boom, went down again. So you're going to be getting a ton of holy power generation now from both of these abilities. And look, I just got 3 more holy power. It's so crazy. Getting 3 holy power on demand like that is actually really insane, guys. It's really insane. It's hard to kind of quantify how good that is, but it is really, really good. Trust me. So this tier set is really interesting to me. I think it has a lot of implications. It is yet to be seen. I need to test this in a real environment to see like which is better overall in terms of the numbers, like healing and damage wise. I suspect that Light's Hammer is better, but the on-demand 3 holy power is definitely king here. There's no other ability except for Divine Toll that gives you on-demand holy power like this Holy Prism will with this tier set bonus. So it's interesting. Also, obviously, getting 15% more healing out of Holy Shock whenever it crits is great because we have lots of crit synergy for Holy Shock. So that's a really, really good value. Really, really good value with Divine Toll as well. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. I know I didn't do a lot of stuff on the dummies, but I just wanted to show you. Really, the main thing I want to talk about is the difference between Light's Hammer and Holy Prism is this. Light's Hammer probably overperforms in terms of numbers, but Holy Prism has on-demand holy power healing. Which one do you think's better? I'm not actually sure. I think that it's going to be situational, depending on the dungeon that you're running, depending on if you have to, if your tank is constantly pulling the mobs out of your Light's Hammer, well, then you're losing all that value, and you're probably better off getting the healing from Holy Prism. Remember, Holy Prism will always find its targets no matter where they are, so it's got a bit of advantage that way. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you think the holy power generation is better than the numbers being a little bit higher, or what do you think? I would love to hear from you in those comments down below. Thank you guys so much again for watching. I will do some more videos on Holy Paladin, hopefully this weekend. If Mythic Plus opens up again, I'm really going to try to get in there and test this out in a real environment for you, and I'll have a video if that ends up happening. But let me know what you think about this. I will see you guys in the next one.